Hello everybody, and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today I'm going to do an experiment with Noodler's Heart of Darkness fountain pen ink. Noodler's Heart of Darkness is a waterproof, light fast fountain pen ink made by Noodler's, but there is kind of an issue with it, or at least an issue that I experienced. With it, whenever I did a sketch with it and then tried to wash some watercolor over it, I had some bleeding taking place. After looking around online, people had said that the Noodler's Heart of Darkness is so oversaturated that there's a layer that will penetrate the paper, and then there's a layer that sits on top, and that kind of accentuates that dark aspect. So once you then use water, the layer that's sitting on top, that oversaturation, will wash off, while the underlying line of the Heart of Darkness won't wash away. So I talked to some people about it online, and there's videos from Nathan Tardif, the guy who makes this ink. By the way, I'm a big fanboy of Noodler's inks, and this isn't meant to knock them or anything like that. It's just for me to figure out how I can use it for sketching and then watercoloring over it. Anywho, talking to a few people online, and in his videos, it talks about how I think it has a chemical in it that helps it adhere to an alpha cellulose. So I have alpha cellulose paper right here, and other people recommended mixing it with 20% water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 100% alpha cellulose paper. This is Bockingford paper, and it's tinted blue. So this is Bockingford. And I don't have their paper in white or a non-tinted color. The only reason I had bought this paper was for the tinted aspect. But we'll see how it adheres to that. Then I have the 100% cotton paper. This is the Stonehenge Aqua. So Stonehenge Aqua. And it is 100% cotton. So we'll do the experiment with both. I'm going to start a little bit of it on film, and then I will pause the camera and then continue making my marks from there. And I'll turn it back on when I show you how to mix the 20% solution. So with my mark making, I'm mainly going to focus on kind of lines, line density, scribbles to see what happens there, etc. So let me pause it and make some of those marks. Okay, so I made my marks with the pure, straight from the bottle, Heart of Darkness. I haven't done anything else with them yet. I haven't even let them dry. But now I'm going to show you how to mix the 20%. Now, this, well, hopefully I can explain it and make it pretty easy for you. If you have trouble with percents or anything like that, just think of this. 100% is a full amount. And 20% of that is going to be water. 20 goes into 100 5 times. So 4 parts ink, and let me make sure I'm still getting this on screen. Yep, 4 parts ink to 1 part water. Okay, so that's all you have to think about it in those terms, is that 100% is the total amount of the solution. 20% of that will be water. Like I said, so it goes into it 5 times, so 4 parts ink for 1 part water. So if you buy sample ink vials, so if you're a fountain pen person, you wind up having that and you wind up getting those type of things, and it'll have measurements on it. Or you could have a little pipette, and that has little marks on it. And all you have to think is, okay, I have my 5th mark here. I'm going to fill it up so that one of those marks is water, and the rest of it is ink. With the pipette, if I was to squeeze out some water, I would have it go to the first mark, and then I would squeeze out ink. I would go 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 4 plus 1 will give me that 5. So the way I'm going to go about doing it is grabbing some water from a water bottle, which I had asked online, did it matter really, you know, if it had to be distilled water or not. I'm going to drop it in so it goes up a whole level. Okay, I may went over a little bit more than 1 milliliter, but that's 1 level right there. I like to keep the caps on everything because I will spill it. Then if I open up my Noodler's Heart of Darkness, I'm going to continue putting it in until it gets up to the 5. I don't know why this is proven to be so difficult. I'm almost there. It doesn't have to be perfect. And there we have it. So this is a 20% solution. So first line or whatever line, it doesn't matter. Went up 1 milliliter of water and 4 milliliters of Noodler's Heart of Darkness. So I'm going to pause it and fill my fountain pen up with this ink. All right, I'm back. I have the pen filled up with this Noodler's Heart of Darkness, 20% of it water. First of all, let's just do a first impressions of this. It doesn't feel any different or see any, it really doesn't seem different at all. I'm going to write it close down here to see if you see any difference. Water. That's interesting. All right, I'm going to pause it. I'm going to make my marks, and then we'll have it dried off, and we'll come back and we'll pass water over it and see what happens. All right, so with this, I just hit it with a blow dryer to kind of dry it off. We're going to pass some water over it and see what happens. So first and foremost, I just really want to say, mixing water into it, it's still just as dark. It really doesn't really lighten it up at all. So that right off the bat is pretty amazing. Chemistry-wise, I really don't know anything about ink. And adding water to it, obviously do it at your own discretion and check it out. You want to be careful mixing inks and whatnot, just because I think some of them could have different acidity levels or all that fun chemistry stuff. So just look into that and just be aware of that. Okay, without further ado, and I'm kind of wondering if I should have waited longer. This is the 100% cotton, no watering down. Okay, so you should be able to see on the video that that is moving that ink around. So I shouldn't really even have to go much further. So on the 100% cotton, you'll see that there's that layer that sits on top. Let's see if we're clean water. Okay, the water's looking pretty clean. We're going to try it non-watered down ink. This is the 100% alpha cellulose, which I believe it is more geared towards this type of paper, is what people were saying. And that's moving that around as well. Okay. So far, and one thing I'm wondering is, should I have given it a long dryer time? How long should I have let it dry for, etc. If that played a part in it. Let me know down below if you think anything affected like that. Let's now check out the 100% cotton with the 20% water. So this is watered down. Let's see if it will lower that level. Okay, so it still pulls up. Okay, I'm just going to, let me make sure it's nice and on the screen so you can see. So this is 100% alpha cellulose, the Bockingford paper, and we'll see if it adheres better there. I wonder if we have better adhesion. I mean, it's obviously still pulling off that top layer of ink, but it might be doing better. Okay, so in all four scenarios, the original ink on the 100% cotton, on the alpha cellulose, I had pigment move around. So pigment move around, pigment move around. Mixing 20% water, pigment moved around on the 100% cotton, and pigment moved around. I don't know if I should be using the word pigment. I apologize. It might be like a dye. So I apologize if at this point I've been using the word pigment incorrectly. But I am thinking that we're seeing less pulling up here on the alpha cellulose. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, we had mixed it 1 to 5, and if we double the amount of water that we put in, I put in 1 milliliter of water to 4 milliliters. If we go 2 milliliters of water to 4 milliliters of ink, we'll have a total of 6 milliliters. We can do the math to see what percent it is in a bit, but I can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to add another milliliter of water, and we'll see what happens to that. All right, I just mixed in another milliliter of water. So we are at 4 parts ink to 2 parts water. So let's switch these over. All right, 4 parts heart of darkness, 2 parts water. Darkness wise, it's still super dark, and I think that has to just do with this saturation of the dye or whatever is used for this. 4 parts heart of darkness, and then I'll pause it in a second. We'll make some marks on it, and then we'll dry it off, and we will then experiment with water on top. 2 parts All right, so let's test this out. This is the 100% cotton paper. Okay, pulls it off right away. We shouldn't really even have to go further. All right, let's make sure our paper is, our water is nice and clear before we do it on the Alpha Cellulose. Oh, it still lifts it. Okay, so at this point, I'm at a little bit of a loss. I'm really not sure what to try next. Like I said, I love this ink. It's super dark. Mixing it with 2 parts water to 4 parts, it's still super dark. It really doesn't seem to change at all. The issue is that layer that people talk about of not being adhering to the paper itself. So for sketching so far and for writing, it's great. But like I said, I'm still at a loss of what to do at this point if I wanted to watercolor over it. So let me know down below in the comments, what do you guys think? Should I have let it dry longer? Do we have to let this ink dry for a few days? Is it a chemical process where it's adhering to the Alpha Cellulose? Should I mix more water into it? As you can tell, it is still just as dark as the original amount from the bottle. Any other ideas? Let me know. Anything else you'd like to see? Let me know. All right. Hopefully I'll hear from you all soon. I'll talk to you all soon, and have a great day.